जय जय सुरनायक जनसुखदायक प्रणतपाल भगवन्ता गोद्विजहितकारी जय सुरारी सिन्धुसुता प्रियकन्ता पालन सुरधरणी अद्भुतकरणी मरमन जानई कोई जो सहज कृपाला दीन दयाला करहु अनुग्रह सोई करहु अनुग्रह सोई जय जय अविनाशी सब खटबासी व्यापक परमानंदा अभिगत गोतीतम चरित पुनीतम माया रहित मुकुंदा जेहि लागी बिरागी अति अनुरागी विगत मोह मुनि वृंदा निशिबासर द्यावहि गुण गण गावहि जयति सच्चिदानंदा जयति सच्चिदानंदा जेहि सृष्टि उपाई त्रिविध बनाई संग सहाय न दूजा सो करहु अखारी चिंत हमारी जानिय भगति न पूजा जो भव भय भंजन मुनि मन रंजन गंजन विपति बरूथा मन बच क्रम बानी छाड़ी सयानी सरन सकल सुर जूधा सरन सकल सुर जूधा सारद श्रुति शेषा ऋषय अशेषा जाकहु कोई नहीं जाना जेहि दीन पियारे वेद पुकारे द्रवहु सो श्री भगवाना भव बारिधि मंदर सब विधि सुंदर गुण मंदिर सुख पुंजा मुनि सिद्ध सकल सुर परम भयातुर नमथ नाथ पद कंजा नमथ नाथ पद कंजा जय जय अविनाशी सब घटवासी व्यापक परमानंदा अभिगत गोतीतम चरित पुनीतम माया रहित मुकुंदा जेहि लागी बिरागी अति अनुरागी विगत मोह मुनि वृंदा निशिबासर द्यावहि गुण गण गावहि जयति सच्चिदानंदा जयति सच्चिदानंदा।
The strange thing is that we are not this. What I mean is that what if we were this, just this body of flesh? How would that be? Just made up of food. Huh? How would that be? And now all of us have received this news that we are not just this. And this news is not just speculative, but most of you are also finding it insightfully, heartfelt, in a heartfelt way, that you're not just this. And yet, Maya makes us stubbornly insist that we are just this. And if you are just a bundle of food, then there's no chance of finding God within yourselves, isn't it? Is it? So it's not even an upgrade that we are chasing. In a strange way, we are chasing a very strong downgrade. In Satsang, we hear and hopefully we experience that the presence of God is with us. In a space within us which is beyond the natural, it is in the realm of the supernatural. You hear this constantly and you experience this as well. And yet we insist on the downgrade of ourselves, which is to take ourselves to be just a bundle of flesh which was born and will die. That is the absurdity of Maya. That so deep is our conditioning about this me, that even after hearing the best news, and even after having an intuitive insight about what the reality is, we seek comfort in returning to our limited identity. Is there any good reason to do that? If you feel that suffering is good reason, or to trouble yourself is good reason, then those are the reasons why we do it. We do it because we feel like we have some sense of control, we have some sense of some ability to drive this life where and how we want it to go. And that's another big absurdity. I will guide this life, I will drive this life better than the Supreme Intelligence, the birthplace of universes after universes. That intelligence can run our life, but we insist on taking the steering wheel from him. So when we look within ourselves, who do we find? And if you were to find everything possible, that everyone in the world came to you and said, everything that belongs to me in this world is now yours, but he did not find the presence of the Atma within, that life would be completely wasted. If you had everything that materiality could provide, but you did not meet God's presence, that life would be wasted. So finding the truth to be true is Satsang. Taking the false to be true is Maya. And when you dive within yourself, whether the endeavor was to find out who you are or to find out where God lives, it leads us to the same place. It is impossible to meet yourself truly as the absolute reality without coming into the discipleship of the Atma within. And it is impossible to meet God's presence without first yearning for a union, a merging, the momentum to find that oneness with Him leads us to exactly the same place. Because within you are not two different realms. The different ways, the different pathways are just categories according to our intellect. So independent of path, religion, culture, tradition, geography, belief or disbelief, independent of all of that is your inner life. The life which is prior to your intellect. That which is prior to your intellect is your heart temple, is the holy place where God will be found. Or you can say that your own presence, I am, which is not distinct from God's presence, it lives there. to learn how to live here is why we come to Satsang. What is your story at this point? Living here at this point, what is your story? Increase the volume of this a bit. You're able to hear well at the back? Okay, increase it. No? Don't? It's fine? Maybe. Yeah, 24 is usually the right level. Oh, wow. Check. This is okay. This is okay. So, now we can't be indifferent to what I'm sharing, because that would be really strange. You have to either say that this can't be, this is not true, or you have to say that if this is true, then how is it that the way I am leading my life seems to be either fully absent of God's presence or in rare glimpses of being with Him. So what is needed for me to deepen in the true way of life? Because it's literally the difference between life and death. To lead a life of a zombie is not living. To take yourself to be a bundle of food is not living. And to just clamor for things which will either die themselves or they will, or you will go before them, that is not living. So if there is a possibility of meeting the eternal life, the unchanging Atma, beyond time and space, the Holy Spirit, then how is it that we live in neglect of this insight even after knowing about it? So I was saying the other day that if Ramji came and stood in front of you 8 feet tall, radiant blue skin, enchanting lotus eyes, the most beautiful form of God. Not saying that that is the only most beautiful form of God, but the most radiant came in front of you. And you said, yeah, good, but I have things to do, so I'll be back later. Is it? Yeah. And I'm not talking about coming to Satsang. I'm saying that He lives right there with you. Yeah? And in many cases, he's probably your most neglected relationship. So what happens to us when we even imagine that he is right here with us, in the most beautiful sarup, in the most beautiful form? What happens to us? Something happens, or no? And that is why we visit holy places, pilgrimages, temples, for that reminder. I am telling you that his reality is much more intimately present with you than any form of perception could ever be. Now, what is your next move? Will you say, show me proof? Will you say, show me proof, or will you say, I have faith? So, being free from the torment of Maya is to be free from the idea that he is not with you right now. To live in his presence as a living reality, even if it is purely a question of faith. Getting? And many times it will purely be a question of faith. But there is a great power in that faith. There is great immensity in that faith. But is our faith so brittle that one tiny thing moves in front of us and he is forgotten? Maybe mine is also like that. So that is what we have to work on. Because the instruction after that is simple. Stay in the holy place beyond your intellect, using whatever tool to remain empty, to do the inquiry, or to just pray. Just pray. But be in the temple of your heart. So, many of us get stuck in this tiny thing, which is that we look for outer evidence of your inner discovery of truths, either in the form of experiences or in the form of some change happening in your lives. Something must change, you see. But in that you betray your reality, which is that you still take the outer to be greater than the inner. And I'm saying you, I'm including myself in that. The Atma is speaking to me as well. So we do this. We're still concerned about that which is in the realm of phenomena, instead of just being with him, loving him with all our heart. So it's important at least to realize the infection so that we can work on it. The problem is very absurd, but it is immense. It is a forgetting of God Himself, a forgetting of being with Him. Our lips may say God, God, God. Our concepts may be full of spirituality. But even in that, we may forget Him. You see? Suppose your partner is sitting with you, but you're on the phone and you're just talking about your partner constantly. He's like this, or she's like this, he's like this, she's like this, he's like this. So whole day you spent on the phone, but you didn't spend any time with your partner. Would that make you a good partner? Would that make you in a good relationship? So just our lip service about God and our having a lot of concepts about God is not enough. A relationship only deepens by being together. And this relationship is the one to go for really, before all other. Because what then happens is that if you love Him, then to love your neighbor comes naturally to you. And if you don't love Him, then you can't really love your neighbor. Just can't happen. You may want, you may desire, but you can't truly love without loving God. So, to go beyond the lip service spirituality is to empty yourself of any fancy notions we have about ourselves and make ourselves innocent children available to be present with our Father, or make ourselves the crazy in love beloved. So if our relationships are now reflecting our love for God, Kierkegaard said that there is no love without God. And that's a contemplation that we can contemplate for a long, long time. Then our loving each other is a very natural reflection of the love which is just permeating our hearts, bubbling through, bubbling forth from our hearts. So the more time we spend on this relationship, the less attractive phenomena will seem. The more time we spend on phenomena, the less attractive this heart relationship will seem. And if you spend time in His presence, then all that is needed to strengthen your spiritual life is also given to you. Our faith grows by being with Him. Our patience grows by being with Him. Our courage grows by being with Him. But the problem is only that this movie keeps going on, It just keeps going on every moment with a new scene. Now this, now this. When you notice one thing about the movie, when you're starting to go really deeply in and stay for maybe a minute or an hour or a day, it seems like the movie goes on hyper drive or some mode. You see, it just gets into, like Maya gets into a panic. That how do we pull this one out? So we just have to learn how to be patient and stay with God. And remember to count your spiritual experiences in that Maya as well. Anything that takes you away from that which is prior to your intellect, the holy temple in your heart. That is why all the sages have told us that we must love God for God's sake, not for the sake of His gifts. Yeah? So without Maya, what is the problem? Yeah? Without Maya, what is the problem? No problem. But Maya. See? That is the only thing in the human condition. Without Maya, there is no problem. All of us in Satsang know that. But what about Maya? That is the problem. I wonder if what I'm saying. Not,
Rather, not being fooled by Maya
yeah.
does not mean that things around you will change. It's just that it keep happening the way it is, but you remain, you don't get it, right?
Well, we can't really say in the sense that.
Stories of Lord Ram, Krishna,
Yes.
Jesus,
Yeah.
they live.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right, but it was not how.
So what I was about to say is that maybe taking yourself to be just a bundle of flesh, the events by themselves in Maya may even be simpler. So we can't really say, but maybe we invite a lot of struggle as we take this pathway towards God. We can't really say. So all is the will of God, and His will is dynamic. At least from our perspective, we have to call it dynamic. But because He is all pervasive and across all various possibilities, He only remains. For Him, it's all set. You see? But we can never say that this life was meant to be linear in that way. You see? Because for Him, every possibility in time is nothing but a So, from our perspective, we can never determine what turn His will bring for us as we. That is why the lives of most sages are full of outer struggle, outer challenges, and that is why our primitive way of looking at that is to say that they are tested in that way. But really, it is just a beautiful process of deepening of faith, of deepening of trust, of learning to remain so beautifully with Him. Or it could be that it becomes a life where you spend the rest of your life in a cave. We can't really say. but he knows best. The good news is that his love for us is so immense that he could never be doing anything which is less than whatever is the best for us to grow. Could it be possible? It's not possible, isn't it? That's another beautiful line in scripture which says that if your brother asked you for bread, would you give him a rock? You wouldn't give him a rock, no? So if in our human love also we cannot be so hard-hearted to give a brother a rock in return for a request of bread, then that divine love who is the source of all love is preparing the best always, every moment for us. It's just not possible any other way. Is it possible? I was asking a mother who came with her son to Satsang, maybe you were not there that day. So I said to her, what would it have to be for you to say, it's all right, just let him suffer a little more than needed, it's okay. No chance, isn't it? There's no chance in which she could ever say that let him just suffer a little more, it's okay. See? So if a human mother can't do that, how would our divine father do that, divine mother do that? And once we really take this lesson to heart, then our life becomes so deeply lived in faith. So Tulsidas ji is then reminder that whatever he does then is for our good. Usi mein hit mera. We one day truly accept that from our heart, then we find it very difficult to suffer. Then our tears are only tears of love. Because what is the other alternative? That he does love us so much, but what can he do? He has written everything down. Now he's stuck because he was asked for a script and he just gave the script. Now it's all. So we must not, sometimes those things which are meant to elevate us also then can become a constriction. He is the all-powerful one. He is not constricted by anything at all. By time, definitely not. And he is an alive presence here. If I can sit with you and I can notice that you're in pain and I say, brother, come, we'll go for a walk, or I'll buy you a coffee or something like that, then God who is present with us, he knows in a very alive way what is happening with us, and he's only loving us. हनुमान पोदार जी said कि उनको तो सिर्फ कृपा करनी आती है. He only knows mercy. He only knows grace. And all of this may sound very utopian and absurd, but the thing is that there's so much commonality in the testimonies of all the sages that this is how it is, that somewhere we have to have faith in that, otherwise what faith do we have? Yeah.
God loves me immensely. He can do anything He wants, but I have to go through what I have to go through.
But I have to go through.
He can change anything He wants, but this is a belief that I believe in, which is, but I have to go through what I have to go through. Like, इतनी आसानी से थोड़ी जाएगा.
Why is there a but? Why is that a but? Why is that not a therefore?
No, I didn't understand.
In the sense that he loves me deeply, he knows everything, every moment of my life, and he has the power to change anything that he wants. And therefore, I must just have this faith and go through whatever he gives me. Why is that a but?
I still didn't get you.
Are we saying that the but implies that I have to go through whatever I have to go through independent of his will for me? Because his will for me is always love and kindness and compassion. So then, therefore, is it not a privilege that we just have to go through the path that he has laid down for us so lovingly? Take some time on this. Because the but connotates the idea of something maybe different from what I am saying. If we know that the most intelligent one, the most beautiful one, the most loving one, the most powerful one, he is so much in love with me, and he is aware of every single moment in my life, and he has the power to change anything without blinking an eye. Therefore, then this path that he has laid down for me to work upon must be an extreme privilege, an extreme honor for me to live through. So the idea of the but we can explore.
The first part is good news, but I have to go through this. That's the right.
That's what I'm wondering. Why is that a but? It should be. Therefore, my job is just to walk the next step in his love, walk the next step in his love, walk the next step in his love. That's it's a privilege, isn't it? But it's you want to.
But there you consider yourself the first.
Yeah. हो गया? Okay, so, but it's not easy. It's not easy. And whether the path is bhakti, whether it is jnana, ultimately it is the same. The pull towards the individuality or the narrative, the pull which says, but I want it some other way, is not easy. Now, how do you actually know that the way you want it is better? You don't know. Then why are you upset? Suppose that you are deluded and you have no idea what trouble you could cause if you just went your way all the time.
Lack of trust.
It's the lack of trust, exactly the point I was making. So how will you change that lack of trust? Is that what you're crying about? That I have so much lack of trust? Is that what you're crying about?
Okay.
Good. I'm happy to hear that. So, will the despondency increase our trust?
Despondency means?
This, what is another word? Despair.
I don't feel that it's not despair as much as I feel it's more like a repentance than despair.
You feel like a repentance. Okay, so what is the messaging behind it?
That I don't have the trust. It's very clear.
So, and how much repentance will it be once it's repeated? How many times?
No, Father, I don't feel like it's in a loop or something like that. I don't feel like I'm wallowing in it. But so initially the question was, but how do I build that trust? But I feel like you've been answering that question.
By being with him. And in this process which is happening with you, are you being more with him or being less with him?
No. But it's
Then it's
hard.
good to you. Yeah.
So then more
Is it more hard?
I'm trying to be with him, but it's not easy.
tell me what gets in the way. Now I'll be with him, let's be with him together. That is in a way what Chaitanya was saying. So, okay, together, no, stay. Don't go anywhere, just stay with me. We're both doing this, yes? The loser buys the other one ice cream. Yes? Yes or no? I've lost her already. That's exactly what I'm trying to. So let's at least start in a moment where we are both empty.
Feeling too much pressure. Performance pressure.
Just a thought. Now?
Wait, Father, you're stressing me out.
I'm very impatient. Okay, come now. What? Because I realize that there's nothing to be done. I don't know what you're doing. Empty? Okay, good. Stay with me. Don't get distracted even by experiences. Nothing at all. All of us can do it. The one who picks up the me first buys ice cream for everyone. Did I lose you in the middle? It may seem tough in the beginning. It's just fresh. God is with you in your heart. You're just empty like a little infant surrendered to Him. That's all. Nothing. Don't have to fix anything. Don't have to resolve. Okay. Huh? So this exercise is an example of that. Just catch yourself out. Just catch yourself out. There's always a moment where you catch yourself out. When you're looping, then you're just looping. Those are write-offs. Is it? But we don't loop for too long. We reinvigorate the loop by going back to it over and over again. But try to catch yourself out. And if prayer works for you, then go to your heart temple and pray. If inquiry works for you, then ask yourself who you are. If just observing your thoughts come and go works for you and you remain empty, then do that. If you got on the wrong train, how many stations to wait before you get off? We keep living in that hope that maybe this train will get me to the right place, you know. So if we get on the train of ego, we get on the train of me, we must get off as soon as we can. But what we do is we keep hoping that something else will happen, we will not suffer this time. But that train, the train of the me, only leads to suffering. So the first stop, get off. You see? Sometimes to be on any train seems more reassuring. No? You see? At least I have a plan. At least I know what's happening to me. You see? You see? And you get off, it could be that it seems like you're in limbo. You don't know. You see? So it can seem wobbly, it can seem scary. But just wait to get on the train of the Atma. The discipleship, the guidance of the Atma is always available to us. You see? But what happens is that when we are caught up in the me, like Anandamayi Ma said, Maya is Maya, the me comes. When we get caught up in the train of the me, then maybe when we get off in the station, we have to deepen into our heart You see, because it can't be, it's not a Dayala Atma service. No? You can't just say now. You see? So, just, because we would become very complacent and arrogant if it was to happen any other way. I know what to do. You see, I'll just be selfish, and the minute suffering starts to come, I'll get off. You see, and then Atma is waiting for me to help me, to guide me, to love me. So that's literally how children get spoiled. You see. So then, in the discipleship of the true Sadguru, the Atma within, she or he doesn't do that to us. So, yeah. You want the mic? The question of whether you want the mic or not should always be answered from the perspective of if you were listening on Zoom.
I don't mind it.
Huh?
I don't mind.
No, I'm saying for everyone, because I've seen that everyone, no, I'm okay, but not you, it's whether those who are listening.
So I want to ask, you were saying, so even this Kundalini is a spiritual experience, Father?
Yes.
And what does it mean by to get distracted by it?
Yeah.
Like you said, don't get distracted. What would it be to be distracted
That
by
if you're, so you start wondering about what's happening to you, whether it's good for you or not, whether till the me comes.
But it's okay.
Of course it's okay.
The attention, it's...
Attention will naturally go to it. But if the attention is just on spiritual things without any belief or identity, then the other end of attention is also quite apparent.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry.
I just wanted to...
Father, in the story of Abraham and Isaac, when he was carrying his son to the mountain, he did he have any doubt, or did he go through?
I can't answer for him. I don't know what it is said in the scripture, but if it was me, I've been contemplating this story for a couple of years, but it's very apparent to me that I'm still at the lack of trust where I would take my son, if I could carry him, and I would run in the other direction of the mountain. That is my faith currently.
So any circumstance that we are going through, we can correlate it to the story, for
Yes,
example.
of course.
And
We can be happy that the story that we are going through is not that story. We can correlate it, but we can't equate it.
but if it feels somewhere like it's so severe or something, so the question is, if it feels that it's so severe, but there's only doubt on the way, but we're trying.
The point of the Abraham story, firstly, is that there's hardly any story which is that severe. So if you're feeling it is that severe, then we are also fooling ourselves that way, and we must not do that. To see that an embodiment of faith like Abraham, an embodiment of faith like Shabri, is quantums much more than where we are. You see, is firstly very important, because that keeps us humble. And secondly, to say that I'm going through 1/1,000,000th of what they went through. So if there can be so much love and trust in God, then that 1/1,000,000th I should be able to muster. Yes, doubt is a part of that process, of course. Nobody has 100% faith. I don't have. That's why I said that if God demanded of me such a thing, at this point in my faith, I feel like I would take my kids and run in the other direction. Where can I hide? And that's strange, no? Because when I started, I felt like I would not be able to do it, but I did not feel like I would run. Then I felt like I'm deepening in that, and I may be very, very full of grief and anger and resentment. I may be able to do it. Then I felt it's getting a bit easier, and maybe I will be able to follow. But now I'm looking at myself more objectively, and I'm seeing that just bhago would have been my response. Don't have it. Would I have been able to lead a life of Ma Shabri? No chance. Zero chance. Yeah.
We've spoken about this before, Father. I'm not sure if we know that it's God that is asking for whatever it is from us, favorable, unfavorable, seemingly. If there is the sure knowledge that it is God, if I don't do that, then I probably don't know what I'm doing even.
Exactly.
So, but how is that even possible if I know it is God
Exactly.
and I understand what God
Yes.
means?
Yes.
Who am I kidding then?
It's just the nature of attachment. The nature of attachment where we just literally, even if God comes and tells us that this is what must be done, we say, no, no, I didn't hear it. That's the easiest. No? The easiest is, क्या हुआ? कुछ नहीं हुआ.
Father,
Because nobody in the world heard it. So I can deny it and nobody will catch me out on it. You see? But
So
you are leading in a different direction.
So I go through that, I would say, pretty routinely, where sometimes that voice asks me to do something, and it's exactly what you said. It's like, but the internal feeling is like, I'm actually not really sure it's God's voice. And I think that's where all the
And that's fine. Then when we're not
drama
sure,
lies.
then we must not move. Because the mind is very good at posing.
Like, I'm just trying to maybe put a visual to it. If Lord Krishna really came and told me to do whatever I need to do, and I've been believing in Lord Krishna all my life and dying to get his darshan, is it possible that any one of us would not do what he says?
Yeah. I feel,
If there is no doubt that it is Lord Krishna,
yes.
so you think it's possible that we may not do?
I can't speak for
No,
all
no,
of
I'm
you,
not
but
making a personal
I'm
question. I'm just saying, like, is it
I'm
possible?
just saying that for me it's possible. Like if he said, do what Abraham had to do, even if he came and sat in front of me, I'm like, I'm not looking.
Okay.
You can contemplate, and I felt like I would be better at following his will a few years back when I started this contemplation. And I even said that in a few weeks I will work on myself so much that I'll be able to trust God that much. I don't see it. It's been when was the first time you came, Claudia? 2 years. No? That is when the contemplation started. I don't feel like, and the real question is that really came is also strange, no? Like it's like saying that if Krishna was here or Ram was here in the physical, but he is actually more really here with us in our heart than the phenomenal really would be. So, do I follow? Okay, so let's stretch the argument to this point then. He is always here with us. We can be with him. Do we only follow what he is telling us to do? That's the real crux of it. The extreme examples, of course, make us humble, make us leave our complacency and any spiritual pride that may be building up. But really, then the question is that if he is always with us, then are we really living in his hukum, in his will, in his command? Yeah.
What might for this in 1930s. So after this
You don't want that.
I don't know if people do this. This is actually bored. I came up with it. The life is too much to do. I don't know if you agree with the top line.
Yeah,
It actually happened
yeah,
in France.
yeah. So your point is?
Yes, so that you have to go to Athens, remember wartime and time.
Yeah. No, but that's not. I don't know whether there are some. That's why I said that it's very important to, if you're not sure, to really wait and to make sure that the guidance is coming from God. So I don't know if this, in this situation, whether those people felt like they're following God's voice or were um, just worldly circumstances which led them to do that. But I'm saying that really saying it in the context of my will versus God's will.
How much it can be, how stressful it can be.
Yeah, of course,
Usually get like little things worry so much.
of course.
This could be like
Life could be really much, much more than we can imagine, of course. That's true, very true. We are so blessed. I was saying the other day, if our only problems in the Sangha, for example, have been somebody is having a tantrum, somebody is upset with me, and usual upset is father doesn't give me enough attention, father doesn't give me. If that is the biggest problem that we have, then we are so blessed because there's so many problems in the world. And if in our sweet family we only have this problem, attention and like awareness is a limited quantity, and children are upset about that from time to time. We have no real problem then. That is God's grace. And we must always be grateful for that. That our life is so simple that this is the only problem that we have. Isn't it? Such a beautiful life God has given us.
Antaji, hello.
Yes,
Uh,
my dear.
I have a query, something similar to this. I was watching a YouTube video a few days back, and this incident happened with Satya Sai Baba and Vajpayee, the Prime
Huh?
Minister,
Acha, acha,
Vajpayee,
acha.
Atal Bihari Vajpayee. Uh, so what happened
These are
is,
all way beyond my pay grades.
no, no, no,
But
but this
anyway, you can ask. You can ask.
incident, recollected. Just 2 3 days back, I somebody sent a video. I just happened to watch, and so when Vajpayee had come to meet Sai Baba, Sai Baba was explaining about what he should do for the country, education, so many other things. But Vajpayee kept on asking, "What is bhakti?" And Sai Baba seemed to ignore it for the time being. He kept on continuing the conversation about nation, this, that. He asked this twice or thrice again, but no change in the flow. And they sat down at a table, and a volunteer was bringing a tray. I don't know what, either a cold drink or a juice or something. He was approaching Sai Baba, and Sai Baba told that boy, "Drop it." And the whole tray, the student dropped then and there, without thinking twice whether it is a hot cup of coffee, or the prime minister is there. If it spills on him, what will happen? No second thought, and he dropped it. And so then Sai Baba immediately told, "You see, that is bhakti. Without a second thought, so what will happen to me? What will be the consequence? How will I face? There is no I there. Only the Guru Lord is there. So that is the only thing there." And the student didn't even think twice. And no, the reason why I brought this up is, I have seen a few cases, at least one for sure, where the teacher asked the student, "Will you do anything which I say?" And I wrote it to you on WhatsApp as well. And this disciple, whom I also know is a good friend of mine, He said yes, and what happened next was something terrible, which anyway I wrote to you. So now this question also comes. Yeah, some gurus might misuse that
Misuse
if
that. Absolutely.
right. But anyway, coming back to this question, my guess
No, it's
is
a very important point, and if I may say some things on this, I
right,
feel it's
yeah,
very important.
right,
The minute a teacher of God, the Guru,
mm,
forgets that they're a mere instrument, and I'm not at all speaking of Satya Sai Baba, I'm just speaking in
right,
general terms.
mm,
But if a teacher of God forgets that they are a mere instrument in this worldly play of God, and they just presume that in their life now, that duality of true insight of being united or being the same as the absolute reality, but still the lingering tanmatra of the egotism, the tiniest element of egotism, still plays out. If we get in denial of, in fact, either aspect of those, then we start going on the wrong path. And that is exactly what happened with Ravan, where he started relying so much on past experience, past insight. His spiritual experiences made him proud of himself, and he thought that what he saw is that he is God, which is true. But he forgot that there's an aspect of him which still continues to play in that Veda, which is that he is nobody, he is nothing. So when we get conveniently in our pride forget about that me which still lingers, we deeply deny for ourselves the clear seeing that I still have an ego, I still have self concern, I still have self image, and then we put ourselves in a pedestal, on a pedestal above our brothers and sisters, and say that my word has to be followed, but because it can never be wrong because it came from me, then that is a pathway to big trouble. Secondly, I have to also say that God blesses us with insight, with the truth, with the recognition of unity as one. But God is still, no sage can ever claim godhood. And this may be controversial to say in India at least, but no teacher of God, no sage, no saint can ever claim godhood, because that would be to say that we can present life, we can take away life, and we can give life where there isn't any, but only God can do that. We can bless, uh, we can give the light of Atma to each other, but no sage, no saint can do that. We can bless our brothers and sisters, we can bless our children, that may they receive the light of the Spirit, may they receive the light of the Atma. But no guru can guarantee saying that I pick you and you will have Atma Darshan or Atma Jnana. It is just not possible. You see, but God could. So till a sage can say that I can look at you and say that I gift you the light of spirit because it is my privilege to do that. I have control over where spirit reveals itself. Till then they cannot claim any godhood. You see? Till the point, and that is the key point actually, and everybody knows really in our hearts that that privilege, that honor is only God's. We can bless, we can pray together, we can provide all the tools. But if any teacher says that I can determine for you whether you will have Atma Darshan or Atma Jnana, I would really question that very, very, very deeply. And I don't feel like I've come across many sages who do that. So that distinction always remains between God or God's incarnations and any teachers of God. Yeah, so that is one aspect of what I wanted to say. That is the dharma of the teacher, and it is a great adharma if we take on godhood for ourselves. It's a great adharma for, and maybe it seems like there is no consequence of that adharma in this outer world, but when the true meeting comes one day, like Hanuman Poddharji said, no, when you meet Kal one day, you have to be ready with the answers. So that aspect is very important. So that is the dharma of the teacher, to recognize their limitations, to recognize that they are mere humble servants of God. That is very, very, very important. On the other hand, the dharma of a disciple is to follow the teacher to the best of their ability till the point that their heart doesn't stop them. You see, if their Antaratma is calling out to them saying you're going in the wrong way, then we must bring that up. You see, you must bring that up to the teacher and say that you're saying this on the outside, but my insides are just rebelling against that. So is it my pride which is rebelling, or is it the true Antaratma, the true voice of the spirit within, which is rebelling? Can you just help me clarify this? And if the teacher is not open to that kind of conversation, then again, somewhere it smells of pride. You see, so, but till that point where a disciple feels like they're not, their their Atma is not in sync with instruction they're getting on the outside, it is the dharma of the disciple to follow.
And
But
another thing,
imagine like what you told me brought tears to my eyes, because I could have easily gone in that direction. You know? I could have easily got into that pride, gone in that direction, where I would have felt like every word that comes from this mouth is like the gospel truth and the word of God. But grace prevented that from happening so far, at least, and we have to always be aware of that possibility that it could happen in the future, and keep ourselves humble and at His feet as beggar servants, uh, just mere instruments. So these things are very strong. Humility is really, really the only safety that we have on this path. Because imagine that I was, of course, in tears for the student, but also I was in tears for the teacher. That what is the kind of adharma that a teacher like that would end up doing in the pride of Ravan without realizing, and how is it that such authentic teachers, authentic insights, authentic spiritual paths which start with so much beauty, then because of this animal of pride then get completely convoluted and misguided and misdirected. So we must pray both for the teacher and the disciples of this teacher based on the report that you sent me. May God bless them with Sadbuddhi. May they lead them in the right direction. So, and unfortunately the world is full of these stories from times immemorial. Pride is the infection which can contaminate to the truest spirituality.
one more question. Is it also, I think somewhere Nisargadatta Maharaj or Papaji says this, that true surrender cannot happen from our effort. It happens, even that happens through grace. Is that?
Of course, everything good. So if you look at it, what can we really do? Huh? So we say, okay, I'm going to inquire. Okay? So what can we really do? We can ask the question, who am I? We can ask it sincerely. We can take our time to ask the question. Even in that, mostly God has to create the circumstances, all of that for it to happen. Every movement of this is God ultimately, but I'm saying that suppose that we said that yes, I'm taking out the time and doing the inquiry, who am I? Who am I? Sincerely, who am I? Is there any mechanism with which we can force the insight to reveal itself? Is there any lever like that? Is there anything that we have even close to our control? We have no such mechanism. So the emergence of love, the emergence of joy, peace, true insight, everything that is valuable, surrender, of course, is the most valuable, has to be by God's grace. But we have to, that's why the story of Krishna lifting the Govardhan in with his tiny finger, and yet the villagers coming with their sticks to help him, is a very important one. You see? That, what did Krishna need them? No, he didn't. But was it important that they came? It was. You see? So whatever we feel like,
Oh, why was it important?
yes, so whatever we feel like is in the under my control, that we must do, no? In the sense that sometimes we come to a very convenient spirituality where the instant we become spiritual, we say everything God has to do. You see? But when we go to work, we say, okay, have you done your work properly if you are a manager? You see, so we are presuming doership and we are also making our own plans and we think we should do this. So all that doership is still there. But if we come to a convenient spirituality and say, no, no, but I can't do. You see, so unless it's truly authentic that we've dropped doership in every aspect of our life and we are not making anyone else feel guilty, we are not saying you should have done this, we are realizing that God is the only doer truly, then that is surrender anyway. You see? So till then we should not say that, oh now my sadhana God only has to do. You see? He only has to do, but you have to put the stick. You see, he will do. It's important that both come into play together. Yeah? You see? And there are many, many subtle things about this that you, as you explore deeper, you will see that uh, really love would not be love if it was forced. Like if I was forced to deepen in my relationship with God, then am I really doing it out of love? Then it's then what joy would God get out of such a forced relationship by those who are His children? You see? So these things are way beyond our intellect to really fathom, but we can just draw some broad strokes so that we have an overall lay of the land. You see?
But
Can we?
Anantaji, I don't think I would have taken to spirituality without suffering. So,
Same. Most of us come to turn to God because of spirituality. I was an atheist before suffering came. So for most of my childhood, I was an atheist. So all of us should always remember that in front of God, in front of the Atma within, we are just little children. If we ever become proud and we say that we have mastery over the true Sadguru, the Holy Presence, the Atma, then that is the doorway to a lot of strife, a hellish existence. And we must not wish that on anybody. So when I heard what you sent to me, when I read it, I was so grateful that a lot of pride has played out in my sharing of 12 years. But by God's grace, it did not come close to that extent which you mentioned about. And for that, I'm so grateful to God, because when you embark on this journey on pride, you don't know where you end up, you don't realize. No? So it's like Anandmaya saying, when people took the example of the Durvasa Rishi and all of that, She said, if you can bring people back to life, then you are allowed to get angry. In the same way, only compare yourself to Godhood if you can say that Atma uh, follows my command. And I hope that no human ever says that, because that would be very, very stupid. Then all the great sages would have said, you, Atma Jnana, Atma Jnana. Like that. So only Ramji, Lakshmanji, Krishnaji, Jesus ji, all of them could say that Jesus said that after I go, another teacher will come for you. And in the Pentecost, all 40 of them got the blessing of the light of the Holy Spirit, the Atma within. Only he could do that.
Let's see, one more question.
Yes.
Here at one place, Papaji says, I'll just read it. If you want eternal rest, if you want a state of real silence, then you have to be choiceless.
Yeah.
Can you please comment on that?
You have to ask Papaji. Can you repeat what you said? Papaji is right there.
Yeah, yeah.
He's
He
giving it
says,
us strongly.
right. He says, if you want eternal rest, if you want the state of real silence, then you have to be choiceless. As long as you choose and strive, the experience of your true nature will be hidden from you.
Yeah. What's he saying now? Yes. So he's
Is
talking
it
about and I can speculate. I can't claim to read Papaji's the depth of Papaji's words, but when you find yourself in that holy place, in that samadhi, in that emptiness, you see that you're just moved by God's grace, you're just moved by God's light, and that is to follow His will by being with Him. The sense of agency, the sense of volition seems to all dissolve over there. So he's talking about the experience of such a deep state, and you see, so what we have to remember is unless we truly become choiceless in every aspect of our life, money, relationship, work, health of the body, all of these things, then don't use a convenient Advaita excuse of non-doership to not do sadhana. Convenient. Is this working now?
Yeah, yeah, it's working. Thank you, Anantaji.
So start with your relationships. Be choiceless there. Uh, then, then with your work, money situation, all of that, surrender to God. Last, give up on your sadhana also.
That is the first one actually right now, but yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's like Bhagwan giving the instruction of inquiry to someone, and the one who hears the instruction says, "But who's there to inquire?" You see the irony of that. There will come a point where Maybe the disciple can ask that, but if Bhagavan is just given the inquiry to one, it must be for that particular level of maturity. That is what is needed. Okay? So always presume that we are at a lower spiritual maturity than what our mind claims you are at, not a higher one.
Right, right.
Father,
Yes, yes.
sorry, I couldn't find the hand raise button.
No problem. As it comes, oh, it's here now. Yeah. You can say, you can say.
Well, I didn't have anything in mind to share, but I just wanted to come up.
Of course, Gabriel has my full prayers, full blessings for whichever path God chooses for him to be as painless as possible, as free of suffering as possible. And thank you for loving him so much and taking care of him so much. To take the responsibility of being a parent to a pet who is without eyesight is not an easy task. So it's beautiful the seva that you've done.
To be honest, I could be better.
Yeah, that's true. That's true for all of us. It's always true for all of us.
He's taught me a lot about patience and understanding. And, his behavior has been such that it's been very erratic, and not knowing that it was caused from brain issues created a lot of impatience in me. And it made me realize that we don't know what everyone's going through. We don't know how God made people. We don't know what they've been through, and we don't know what they're made of. And to judge another is just ludicrous. And there's just so many unseen forces that we don't know about. And I know that he's shown me that just because you can't see everything in somebody, they never deserve judgment or impatience. And he's taught me that. And also, by God's grace, I've learned that too, that by the way I've been treated sometimes, how that feels. So, yeah.
To live in the security of God's love is the only security for us in this human condition.
Everything pushes us to that.
Yeah, yeah. And if the only message that any of you remember from today's satsang would be that God loves you so deeply, then that would be, the whole time spent would still be worthwhile.
No matter our mistakes.
No matter our mistakes, no matter our mistakes. Because He's present with us and He's taking care of us every moment. You see? So, if our intellect was larger, we wouldn't need faith. So He's made our intellect just the right size so that we pick up the greater gift of faith. If our intellect was smaller also, we wouldn't need faith. You know what I mean? Like if our intellect was really small, then we don't need faith. We're not even trying to understand. But because we make an attempt to understand, we have the ability to ask the big questions, but we don't have the ability to compute them in our heads. That is why we need to rely on the deeper force of faith. Now, to the mind, faith sounds like hocus pocus business. Whatever is irrational, you just say faith and you just follow. It's not like that. Faith is that which your heart is clear about. There's a clear insight from the intuitive instrument. And the essence of Vedanta, the essence of any true spirituality, but especially Vedanta, is to learn to come to the true light of seeing in the intuitive insight as opposed to empirical means. Sorry about the jargon, I've been catching up with Swami Sachidananda Indra Saraswati since we spoke about him. So, the whole path is based on that. How to go to that deeper place. And we talked about the question, who am I? No answer from the intellect will be satisfactory. The Atma Jnana, the Atma Darshan is from a deeper place. So in that deeper place, we know how much He loves us. We know that He is here. We know that He is taking care of us every moment. And then fear is ejected to a great extent out of our lives. And with the ejection of fear, then all its friends like anger and frustration and all of these things also become much milder. Just to have the only being, or another way to look at it is the greatest being in the universe, to know that He loves us, He loves me, is a great gift. And that's when these examples of, would a mother ever say, oh, let my child suffer in pain for a little bit longer, it's all right. So if a human mother would not say that, then how would a godly mother say that? Or the example of if a brother asked for bread, would you ever give him a stone or a rock? If our human love would not allow us to do that, then how is it that we doubt our prayers to God being answered? That simple example is so supremely powerful, isn't it? How would we ever feel that our prayers are not being answered or heard? Now, the question to ask ourselves is, do you want your prayer to be answered even if it is to your detriment? Nobody wants that, isn't it? And who can tell whether it is for our good or our detriment? Only He can tell. And that needs faith again. So, to know that our prayers are being heard and answered, but we don't know even what to pray for, so we are so blessed that the Supreme Intelligence then takes care of that foolishness that we have. It's just such a privileged life for all of us. And I don't mean privilege in a bad way. I mean, such a great honor to be living this life.
Yes.
Because we must never fall into the trap that God is forced to be like this with us. Like it's an entitlement or something like that. It's all by His design. Even Maya is His Mahamaya. It, it pinches us only to the right extent for us to grow. We must always remember it's an honor, it's a privilege that He has kept us. He's kept Himself in our hearts and us in His heart.
Yeah.
So may we be blessed by remembrance and not by forgetfulness. Because only in forgetfulness do we suffer. Will you try this experiment with me? For the whole of next week or till whenever we meet next, just remember God as much as possible. By His name, by His leelas, by His actions, by reading words that remind you of Him, by listening to Satsang, by listening to bhajan. Just as much of remembrance of God as possible. And then tell me at the end of that week whether you suffered. Because to remember Him is to be with Him. That's all it takes. It's so beautiful. Swami Ram Sukhdar ji said, God is the only thing you will attain. Thing I'm using loosely, but the only thing you will attain just by turning towards it. Everything else you have to do so many other things for. Just by turning towards it, you can't attain. But God, you can. So just remember, just be with Him. Follow the paths that your teacher has given you.
Even seeing the prayer, I feel I forget.
Yes. Like when it's just mechanical, it just feels mechanical. Yes, but it's still better than zero. Just His name is better than zero, and much better than zero.
It does feel like less fear, less fear and less anger.
Yeah.
And just a letting go, and even with the trials, just more of an ability to surrender that and not be fearful.
Very good, very good, very good.
And really diving deep into what what is God's love? Like, what does that even mean? And knowing that I can't possibly really know.
Yes, that a deeper knowing is always going to be about faith and not capturable by our intellect.
Yeah.
That,
Yes.
exactly. And
Yeah.
yet you know, like we
Yeah.
know, and we start to value that ineffable knowing so much, even though it seems helpless sometimes when people ask you what is happening to you, you're not able to say, but in your heart you value it so much. You really feel that you're found, you're not lost anymore, just in that ineffable reassurance in our heart.
And it's bizarre to find something that you can't find, really.
That's the whole mystery of this spiritual quest.
Yes.
It's really all absurd. It's
Makes no
bizarre, it's
sense.
absurd. It makes no sense. And yet we are blessed that it is true. Very, very.
Yes. I love you, Father.
Love you too, my child. Very much. Very good. Very
Always.
good. Same. Very good. Nothing at all to be sorry about. Not at all. So, it's all right. That's all right. You had a minute to listen to the question in the middle. That was fine. That's fine. No, no, I had. So he said that he started his spiritual journey in 2015 and he had quite a bit of a spiritual crisis, which happens often. But he's doing much better now and deepening in faith so much. One question he had was in terms of brahmacharya or chastity or celibacy in spirituality. What is its value? Is it important? So it is very important to be guided by the Atma on this topic. There is value in it, it is helpful, but you will know in your heart when it is right for that. Now, that of course can't become an excuse where we say, no, no, he said, wait till your heart tells you. It's not like that. So you must constantly be watching, you must constantly be vigilant to the direction of our heart, and it will lead you in the discipleship of the Atma as you deepen. If that is something that is needed on your path, then you will know in your heart. Let's go to Karunamai.
Hello, Father. Thank you.
Yes. Yes, Sanjay. You're right about my inability to multitask, but I'm with you. I'm with you now.
I know, I know. I know you're with me and I feel you here. But I also put my hand up because I feel there's a lot of arrogance maybe creeping in and there's that I think there is a sense that I need help, but there is also a sense that I deserve help because of, I guess, the living situation that He put on us. It's nothing now dramatic or Anna is good. The children are back. They're not back in Romania. They went to Romania with their father for a month, so I had a bit of time for myself. Which I feel I don't spend very wise also. um, and nothing seems to like be appealing in the manifest in a way.
Nothing seems to be manifesting
No, nothing seems to be appealing in the manifest. Like,
in the manifest. That's good.
I don't know if it's good or not.
It is.
Uh, I don't even know if I want to be here or somewhere else.
The unmanifest.
Hmm?
But is the unmanifest appealing?
It is appealing, but sometimes it feels distant
So
and
it is
unreachable. Or, yeah, I don't know.
the lack of appeal in the manifest uh, leads to a more appeal or feeling more drawn to the unmanifest. So use this as an opportunity. If the world is not looking so attractive, then just dive in as much as you can into that which is beyond the world. And there
Yeah,
are times neither feels appealing, but but even then we must endeavor to keep praying, to keep on our sadhana, so that we try to come closer to God, deepen our relationship with God. What is your primary pathway to be with God?
uh,
Is it to be empty? Is it to
to be
pray? Is it
empty.
to be empty? Just stay with that. Just stay with that. I hope all of
And
you,
when, yeah,
many of you,
when I can't be
quite some
empty, I pray to be empty.
pray to be empty is also very good. It's very good. All prayer is all prayer is to be empty of me, so that I can be with God.
Yeah,
So that's good. That's good. But I hope that for most of you who've been in satsang long enough, you're able to say that this is presently my pathway to God that I'm using on a daily basis to let go of Maya as much as possible and to be with God. Because that is when true spirituality happens. The magic happens only when we practice that, when we apply that into our life. The magic of being empty to ourselves and being in God's presence is the greatest magic that any of us will ever experience. And we must not waste any time away from that beautiful possibility. So I'm glad that you are clear that your pathway is that one, and now it's just a question of application. You trust your path?
that's one thing that sometimes I feel like maybe my faith and devotion have decreased. I don't know if I can say this.
Okay, but
Um,
your pathway of being empty, does that, what happens, what is that time like when you're empty of grasping onto thoughts, when you're just open and empty? then what, you don't have to have an experience, but does your heart tell you that that is auspicious for you?
Yes. He tells me that, and then it seems it's not enough.
It tells you that also, or is that the other friend that comes and says, your heart is saying it's quite auspicious, but is it really enough? So be careful of that so-called friend. Yeah, he's not your friend. So just if your heart tells you that it's not enough, then that's a conversation. But I doubt that your heart is telling you that.
And
So if you're spending time,
maybe I
if you're spending,
think it's also that I had different depths of spiritual experience, and uh, maybe, I don't know, my mind tries to match or tries to aim for something, or which it doesn't know and it cannot know.
yeah, don't leave fresh God for some memory
Yeah,
of past experience of God. It's like Ramji is sitting with you right now, but you're saying, you know that Ram from 3 weeks back? Is
it
that,
was more deep.
would you do that? Would you do, like Jesus is here with you now? I think, thank you, Jesus, but the one that, how you appeared to me 1 year back, that you can't,
Yeah,
you can't.
and it's good what the brother before said about Papaji, because I was actually listening to Satsang recently, and he said to someone, be choiceless or something. And
Then you had no choice in the matter. Huh?
it's maybe this trickstery of the mind that,
So upon hearing that, you said, let me make the choice to be choiceless.
yeah. I think this is what the lady in Satsang with Papaji actually said.
Yes.
I pray for this choice to be choiceless. uh,
What to do, what to do. No,
I really don't know. And
no, when I said, are you clear about your pathway to God? You seem quite clear. And
yeah,
you just have to apply, you just have to follow that. Don't dig wells midway and then leave them and start digging new well. If you're digging this well, which is a beautiful well, then keep at it. Once you've kept at it with full commitment for a few years, then we can say, we can look at whether it has worked, not worked, what has happened. But that is the kind of commitment that every pathway to God needs.
yeah, maybe that's something that when I say I lost faith and devotion, in a way that impacts my commitment in,
Yeah, and that is the way of Maya to keep pulling us out of our commitment. That's why all the satsangs are available. We're still meeting in spite of this so-called break. So just to remind ourselves together to remain on the path is helpful.
yeah. You don't have a shortcut or some shorter remedy?
I don't have for myself. I don't have my for myself also.
Just Guruji says he has shortcuts.
It's very zen because it's the shortest path in the moment, but when looked upon as a life, then there's a ever deepening in every life.
Can you repeat that?
Yeah. So actually, in the moment, it's the shortest path. Just be empty right now. There's no
Yeah,
distance, there's no path. But when we look upon it as if from the lens of looking at a life,
yeah,
then all the sages will admit that it's a process of ever deepening, ever growing love, ever sweetening, ever deepening inside. So,
yeah. Because this is when you said just stick to the path, and something came to say that maybe how to do that continuously, I guess.
bring your timer out. You were planning to do one timer. What was it? A spreadsheet? What was it?
I have to look. I bought for Anna an iWatch once because
Now
we
that
were losing her.
now that you have some space, kids are away for a month. Dedicate this month to your sadhana. It'll be good.
I'm trying, Father. I'm trying, but I'm not doing a good job.
It's all right. All of us are not doing a good job. I would rather do a much better job than I am doing also. It's all right.
Hey,
If I would be suspicious if somebody said to me, I'm praying really well. But once we see that we're not doing a good job, it's all right. As long as the commitment is to do it, to do better, it's fine.
yeah, I'm really confused about this commitment just because this arrogance of comes in
Can I
and
put
I
it this
see there is this on this side. Yeah, I'm not. I'm not taking his chop. Let's say
is
there, like there is this resistance. Not that I'm undecided. Huh?
I'm not taking
His chop. Um,
his job. I see. I was probably going to say something similar, which is that firstly, it is a blessing that we can see our arrogance. Like most of us can't really see our pride. So if you're able to say that I see my pride, that itself is a great blessing. Now, once you see your pride, to rush to God, to surrender, to bow down in humility, to remember that we are nothing, tiny beggars in front of Him, is very important. So either we do that for ourselves, or then life squeezes the arrogance out of us. So that is the seeming choiceless choice that we have to make.
well, Father comes and reminds us. Thank you. How are you? Are you feeling good now?
I'm good, my dear.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go to Sharat. You know what we should do before Sharat says anything? Just in this moment, go God crazy. Don't spend time on anything else. Just life gives you so many of these moments. Just, I'm yours, God. I belong to you. Even if it feels mechanical, it's all right. Because you'll waste your time judging whether it's mechanical, not mechanical. Don't do that. Just use that time to just as much. If you're feeling it, not feeling it, don't worry about it. Just you have to offer yourself crazy in love. That's crazy in love. So don't waste moments. Don't waste time getting bored and things like that. Just whether we say contemplating God or His essence in our heart, or we say loving Him deeply in our heart, or being with God just naturally in a very beautiful, relaxed way. So whether there is fervor or whether it is relaxed, don't worry about any of that. Just make it about Him. Like waiting for your turn to come. Don't be anxious about whether the turn will come, what you will say. None of that. Just it's time for you to spend with God.
Nothing to say, Father. Thank you.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
Just a blessing. Let's go to Sajan.
Hi, Father.
Hello, Mela.
I also started here with something to say, but then it's turned into nothing to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
It feels good in your heart like that?
It feels good. I was looking at this, if there's any hiding or like, because sometimes the impulse, it was on this Abraham story. I just couldn't resist. Like when the other gentleman spoke after you, I felt also I want to join the conversation in some way because I felt like what he was saying, or I also feel.
I would
But
love that. Like, I would really love that to be true, and may God give me the humility to accept that as well. That it is very possible that some of you have a deeper surrender than I ever may.
mm,
That um, that if God came and said that you have to bring your son up to this mountain for him to be sacrificed, that if you knew in your heart it is God, you would follow. That's a beautiful surrender, and I bless that with all my heart, with everything that I have. It's very, very good. I'm very happy to hear. If that is your testimony, I'm very happy, very, very happy to hear that. Okay, let's go to Aniko.
Thank you so much, Ananta-ji. I just would like to ask you for a prayer, for praying for Devdas. He is one of your Sangha child who is sometimes here. You know him, Devdas,
Yeah,
and his father passed away this morning.
I see, I
And I
see.
just would like to ask
Yeah, same, same.
just to pray for his soul and for Devdas as well and for his mother, please.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing this. I was not aware of this. Thank you for bringing it.
Thank you so much, Ananta-ji. Love you so much.
Let's go to Adrian.
Namaste, Father.
Namaste, my love. Namaste.
I haven't spoken with you for quite some time in satsang. Mm, I feel like sharing something. Uh, Sometimes I observe that um, moods and feelings are somehow independent from what I believe in mentally.
Yeah,
They come and go. They move and change sometimes without my independent of what I believe in.
yeah.
Uh, so uh, it's there are on another layer somehow.
Yes, very much, very much. In fact, as you're noticing, very good, you're noticing this, very good. You'll notice that in all our subtle layers of our existence, there are things which keep moving, which are quite independent of each other. And you will see that when there's a feeling but it's not accompanied by a story, it's easier to match, it's easier to not get attached. Uh, when there's a narrative but doesn't have too much feeling accompanying it, contraction and even pride or any of that, then it's easier to handle. But Maya plays this game often where both seems to be coordinated, and when they are coordinated, it seems very strong to us mostly. So I used to joke about this and say, uh, like I grew up playing these video games, these tiny ones that you would hold in your hand and play like
Yeah,
that. One of the popular ones was called Donkey Kong. I don't know if some of you are old enough to remember that, but so what would happen is that sometimes in that Donkey Kong, what would happen is that the obstacle would be coconuts. So you could duck the coconuts, and sometimes the obstacle would be, in some levels, the obstacle would be barrels which are rolling down. So you jump over the barrels. But when the difficulty levels got more, then you would have coconut barrel, barrel coconut all coming together, and that was very difficult to manage. So that is, in a way, it is similar to our life, where independently, if feelings are arising, they're easier to just allow them to linger for a bit and let them go. If thoughts are coming, but there's not so much contraction and feeling level thing, then it's easier to let them go. But when they seem to be coordinated, when Maya plays like that, then it seems much more difficult to manage. But it's very good to just see the subtleties of our existence and see how these sensations, energy, movements, how are they perceived, in which way are we perceiving them. It's, it's very helpful contemplation because it helps to create a distance between that who is watching versus being seen. So it's very good.
yeah. For example, sometimes in the past, I noticed that maybe sometimes someone would say something to me, and I got hurt emotionally, and even after letting go of the judgment or the mental thing, like the ideas about myself, the hurt feeling kept lingering, like and all I could do is just let it linger, and uh, even if I didn't identify so much with what uh, or maybe it wasn't like you say sometimes that we give words to certain feelings that are more like undescribable or something like um,
That's right. That no feeling actually, our words are very limited compared to what we experience at the level of sensation. So we just make some very broad statements about what we are experiencing because we don't actually experience the same thing twice. But because language can't be that broad, we have to say, we have to use broad terminology. Anyway, I feel the main point is that even if you feel that mentally you're empty of that concept, but the feeling of hurt is still there, or some feeling emerges, it's a good excuse to just return to God's presence, His refuge, and allow Him to take care of it.
yeah.
Sometimes looking at these as opportunities rather than problems, that it's a reminder for us to return to God and to remain in His presence.
Yes, yes. And if I also can share another thing, have felt for many years like a certain heaviness, like I felt like that character Atlas who is carrying the 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 world on his back.
Yes, yes, yes.
Atlas,
Yeah.
Atlas, yeah.
Okay.
I,
Okay.
I felt like that for many years. I don't know why exactly, but something happened last evening. I don't know. I suddenly I started feeling very light, like
Yeah. Great.
and
Great.
much broader, and somehow like God has God's hand has picked me up out of my life, my personal, I walked outside of my.
Oh, that's good.
Uh, Actually, I didn't walk. It wasn't uh, uh, dependent on what I did. It was more like grace, grace. And um, yes, I'm happy. I'm peaceful, and I've been quite through some strong things in the past. I've been to mental hospital a few times, and I've been taking psychiatric medicine for a long time, and the, just I'm amazed how grace can be so kind, and uh, uh, I am grateful for all the things that I've been through because uh, they helped me to be more humble and more uh, to appreciate God's presence, to have faith, and yeah, I remember at one time many years ago, I when I was going through difficult things inside, I could feel like this is gonna take a long time to get out of. So it's not. I have to be patient in the sense that I can't demand release from these things, and
It's very nice. I'm so, so happy to hear this report, and you said it very well. To have that insight that this needs a lot of patience and to just be committed to the path patiently. It's very helpful, and God's grace may bless you so much. And I'm so happy to hear that the burden is lifted. Very, very, may it be so, may it be lighter and lighter.
thank you, thank you.
Yes, yes.
And thank you so much. And one theme that lately has come to my attention a lot is I have my attachments, attachments to, especially my attachment to my childhood, and and the home that I grew up in. This I also live now in this apartment, and some things have happened like that affected the integrity of the apartment, like uh, from the neighbors, floods, and things like that, and it really brought in like I'm so attached to this to have a good home, like, and I don't know how fa- how easy it would be to be like homeless, like to and still have faith in God, to, if all these things would be taken away from me, like my apartment or my uh, material comforts, it, it it's
I understand it, yeah. Just allow God to take care of that. Don't make that a new burden. Just remain empty and trust as much as you can. All the one who has taken care of all those difficulties and now brought you into this place will take care of this also.
yeah.
Keep patient with this also. Don't worry.
Yeah, thank you. And if one more thing, one I wanted to share with you, related to this unburdening that I felt since last evening. I somehow I was curious and checked on my phone the position of the sun in the astrological sign, and I noticed that it transitioned into Sagittarius last evening, and I felt like maybe I don't know, it has some connection with this. Uh, I sometimes I mean I don't really believe everything I read about astrology or things like this. But sometimes I see some synchronicities that and some accuracy that quite it's quite powerful.
I see. I see. I have some even better news for you, which is that the greatest sun of the universe has come into your heart. So that is the best house for him to come to. You know? He controls all the other things. He
Yeah,
controls what everything means, what everything stands for, all of that. So you're going straight to the source, straight to the source. If something works, let's say that astrological charts work in India, they're very, very popular and people are deeply, deeply invested in them. Let's say that they work. Could they work by themselves? No, they couldn't work by themselves. They must be getting whatever is happening, must be coming from God's will, from His light. So if you keep going towards His direction, then all your charts, all your boxes will always have the right planets. So all this,
yes,
every one of these sciences, if they have some potency, and of course with God's will, everything can have potency, but it can only happen from the source willing it to be that way. So,
yeah, yeah.
so just allow yourself to use this to be grateful to Him more and more, and to say that thank you so much for taking care of this life in this way. So good.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, let's go to Samya.
Hello,
Hello.
Father. Can you
Hi,
hear me
dear.
well?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Very well. I'm waiting with bated breath to hear
Huh?
I'm waiting with bated breath to hear what you will say next. Especially that
Not.
you have, because you have a smile on your face. So I'm very happy.
Yeah, just I know that way, Father. It just comes and visits me. We were together before all the time. Now it just comes time to time before retreats. I know that, like, especially after Guruji talks about Vasana, I just realized that, yes, it just comes and visits me. And I was not aware that it was Vasana. When it comes, it was immediately me. But now I know it's just a voice and it's just a wave, big wave, always same in this, I always speak in the same tone, same sentences, same, everything same. Yeah, it went to sleep now, not here. But yeah, and it just attacks you and Guruji, and yeah, all the time. Same thing, you know, just the same thing. But thankfully this time, thanks to you, your patience, everything, Father. This time I could see it is something. So we will see next time.
No next time.
No,
Okay,
next time.
but if it comes, then we will see it. If it comes, we will
Yeah.
see it. Yes.
But Father, maybe I want to bring something which takes me related with that also. And I want to bring this to you. It's like, okay, this is something about being something in this world.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is something which so much shame comes. My family background, like they did not study it, just so much shame, and I did not study it. And I was quite okay with that. I have self-confidence. Anyway, I was not care, but recently it just comes up and it's like I'm wasting life, I'm wasting myself. Something like this, you know, like I want to do something. I don't know, it's just so I'm confused about this thing. It's like I want to do something in life. And yeah, at least I just wanted to open this up because it's really just so much here recently.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can tell you from my example that most of my family, most of my relatives, they feel that I wasted my life. That I have wasted my life because as a child, they used to feel like I'm some sort of genius or something like that. And my father did really well for himself. You know, he came from a very small village and made a big name for himself all over the country and all of that. So they were hoping that his son would also have some great capabilities and things like that. But now when I meet them, they very sweetly say, I mean, they don't mean it sweetly, but they try to say it sweetly, saying, are you basically just doing satsang these days, or are you also doing some work? So they feel like this one has really wasted his life. One
But
well-meaning
Father, you
uncle.
have company. You are working, not same.
I'm working right now because Garima needed some help with the company that she built over the last so many years, and in the
Like so
way that
much inferiority with this also here, you know.
yeah, I can understand, but if it helps, I'm basically like an unpaid consultant in that role, and really the idea is to just help her because she's been working so hard for so long that she got burnt out and started having a lot of anxiety and struggle. So I said that I will you please try and take a break. But her break is like 5 times my amount of working anyway. So so little bit I had to try and help her in that process. But but compared to what people thought my life would be and the kind of position, the kind of fame, the kind of money I would make, my life is not lived up to a tiny bit of that also. And these things are not empirical, they're relative. It's always relative to expectation, isn't it? So you see that, okay, so when I'm saying to you, it may sound like, oh, but this is so much better in the world than I am, and things like that. But it's all conceptual. It's all relative to what we expect it to be. But the greater point I wanted to make with that story is that suppose that you made something of your life in the world. Okay? Now, what would that highest be?
I think just get over this inferiority, Father. I mean, I don't care so much about what I have outside, but within me, I cannot get over the
What is the
inferiority,
message in
maybe.
that inferiority? In the sense that when the inferiority says in your mind that you are inferior, what does it consider to be superior?
I think it's something cultural, Father, like so much about my country, the people's expectation. Like, they when they see me, because of Guruji's, like they okay, they see me very beautiful. I can feel it, But their way of speaking, even in the spiritual environments here. So what do you do then? And there I was like, and I have nothing
So
to
if you
please
said,
them
I
because
love
they really,
God, if
huh?
you said, I love God, what would they say?
Uh,
In the middle
I
of all the
mean,
work and everything that's happening there, when they ask
they,
you, so what do you do actually in real life? If you were to say, I just sit and love God, what would they say?
I think it depends. If I come from strength, they cannot say anything. If I come from this place, I don't know what will happen.
So my recommendation would always be that come from humility, but be truthful. And if they consider you inferior, it's all right. We don't have to. That doesn't change what God feels about us. But we must always bless them, because if they are judging brothers and sisters based on money or status or work and all of that, then God has to bless them, because uh, they are just not using this opportunity truly for what it is meant for. And we have to pray to God, because may they get a beautiful opportunity to turn towards God, turn towards humility. And I realize fully that most of them don't care about it. They're like, no, I'm fine, my life is good. So, but living in God's presence, we realize what it is not to live with Him. And would you wish that on anyone at all? Even
Sorry,
if they
Father,
hurt
I
you?
missed you.
Would you wish that after being in God's presence, being in Satsang, being in His light, would you wish a godless life on anyone at all, even if they were your worst enemy, if you had an enemy?
Father, for me to be with, oh, it's hard question. So much compassion would flow for them, because at the same time, I know that to be on the path of God is not easy. So it would just flow too much with compassion. Like, yeah, I have to say this also. But godless life, oh my goodness. And
And yet,
oh,
when we look at our brothers and sisters in the world, uh, it looks like they are not interested in God at all. And I was there, I've been one of them, very, very strongly one of them, and I thought I was fine. So we have to be compassionate towards our brothers and sisters who feel that these outer things are all that matters. So, and at all you must not gravitate towards their position, which is that you must focus on making something of yourself. You are making. My blessing for all of you is that you are making saints out of yourselves. There is no greater way to be than to be an inner saint. I don't care what the world thinks about you, but if closeness to God defines sainthood, that is what I want for all my children. That is what I want for all of you. Not, not any less than that. Not any less than that. Now, can you go to them and say, I'm a saint? No, of course not. You can't. You can't say, I'm training myself to become a saint. Well, I don't know, maybe if God puts those words in your mouth, but usually humility is best, and just bless them, bless them.
I love you, Father, so much.
I love you too, my child. Very good,
And
very
so happy to be with you again. And I think, not I think, tomorrow, I think, inshallah, we will meet with Karmendra. He will come to, I don't know if you know this. I don't know where he come from, India or somewhere else, but we will meet. He will stop in Istanbul. So I just want to let you know, and yeah, have your full blessing. I just want to meet with you.
bless you so much for that.
And
Inshallah.
I
Inshallah.
love you.
I love you too. I love you too. Bless you so
Thank
much.
you.
It's very beautiful. Have you noticed that Allah is such a beautiful name of God? Just there's a certain something in it. So unfortunately, in our country and the world, there's so much division being caused based on basis of the names of God. But if you were just to meet things independently of all the worldly rubbish, and to say inshallah like constantly is such a beautiful thing. Shall we sing the Hanuman Chalis?
श्री गुरु चरण सरोज रज निज मनु मुकुर सुधारि रामा निज मनु मुकुर सुधारि वरनउ रघुवर विमल जसु जो दायक फल चारि तुलसी जो दायक फल चारि बुद्धिहीन तनु जानिके सुमिरौ पवन कुमार रामा सुमिरौ पवन कुमार बल बुद्धि विद्या देहु मोहि हरहु कलेस विकार तुलसी हरहु कलेस विकार जय हनुमान ज्ञान गुण सागर जय कपीस तिहु लोक उजागर रामदूत अतुलित बल धामा अंजनी पुत्र पवन सुत नामा महावीर विक्रम बजरंगी कुमति निवार सुमत के संगी कंचन बरन बिराज सुबेसा कानन कुंडल कुंजित केसा हाथ वज्र और ध्वजा बिराजे कांधे मूंज जने साज, शंकर सुवन केसरी नंदन, तेज प्रताप महाजगबंदन। विद्यावान गुणी अति चातुर, राम काज करिबे को आतुर। प्रभु चरित्र सुनिबे को रसिया, राम लखन सीता मन बसिया। सूक्ष्म रूप धरि सियहि दिखावा, बिकट रूप धरि लंक जरावा। भीम रूप धरि असुर संहारे, रामचंद्र के काज सवार। लाए सजीवन लखन जियाए, श्री रघुबीर हरषि उर लाए। रघुपति कीन्ही बहुत बड़ाई, तुम मम प्रिय भरतहि सम भाई। सहस बदन तुम रोजस गावे, अस कहि श्रीपति कंठ लगावे। सनकादिक ब्रह्मादि मुनीसा, नारद सारद सहित अहिसा। जम कुबेर दिक्पाल जहाते, कवि गोविंद कहि सके कहाते। तुम उपकार सुग्रीवहि कीन्हा, राम मिलाए राजपद दीन्हा। तुम्हरो मंत्र विभीषण माना, लंकेश्वर भय सब जग जाना। जुग सहस्त्र जो जन पर भानु, लील्यो ताहि मधुर फल जानु। प्रभु मुद्रिका मिलि मुख माहि, जलधि लांघि गए अचरज नाही। दुर्गम काज जगत के जेते, सुगम अनुग्रह तुम्हरे तेते। दुआरे तुम रखवारे, होत न आज्ञा बिनु पैसारे। सब सुख लहे तुम्हारी सरना, तुम रक्षक काहू को डरना। आपन तेज सम्हारो आपे, तीनों लोक हाँकते कापे। भूत पिशाच निकट नहीं आवे, महावीर जब नाम सुनावे। नासे रोग हरे सब पीरा, जपत निरंतर हनुमत बीरा। संकट ते हनुमान छुड़ावे, मन क्रम बचन ध्यान जो लावे। सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा, तिनके काज सकल तुम साजा। और मनोरथ जो कोई लावे, सोई अमित जीवन फल पावे। चारों जुग परताप तुम्हारा, है प्रसिद्ध जगत उजियारा। साधु संत के तुम रखवारे, असुर निकंदन राम दुलारे। अष्ट सिद्धि नौ निधि के दाता, असबर दीन जानकी माता। राम रसायन तुम्हरे पासा, सदा रहो रघुपति के दासा। तुम्हरे भजन राम को पावे, जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसरावे। अंत काल रघुबरपुर जाई, जहाँ जन्म हरि भक्त कहाई। और देवता चित्तन धरई, हनुमत से सर्व सुख करई। संकट कटे मिटे सब पीरा, जो सुमिरे हनुमत बलबीरा। जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई, कृपा करहु गुरुदेव की नाई। जो सत बार पाठ कर कोई, छूटहि बंदी महासुख होई। जो यह पढ़े हनुमान चालीसा, होय सिद्धि साखी गौरीसा। तुलसीदास सदा हरि चेरा, की जय नाद हृदय महाडेरा। पवन तनय संकट हरण, मंगल मूर्ति रूप रामा। मंगल मूर्ति रूप। राम लखन सीता सहित हृदय बसहु सुरभूप तुलसी हृदय बसहु सुरभूप।